So apparently last night, President-elect Donald Trump decided to go out and have a steak dinner with his family. Somehow that's a huge scandal. The liberal media is reporting that he left the press corps behind. Maybe he just didn't want the press corps there. He wanted a private dinner with his family. I don't really understand why that's a big deal. Of course, they say they're there to protect the president in case something happens. Like what could possibly happen? I mean, he chokes on a bone or something. Is somebody there going to give him the Heimlich maneuver or what? More than likely, they're going to take a picture of him choking and say, "Uh-oh, he's going to die." This is just typical liberal crap that just keeps happening. I don't really understand why this is an important thing, but CNN and MSNBC and other news outlets are just losing their minds over this. I don't know, it seems like a stupid story to me, so that's about all the time I'm going to spend on that. The other thing, I think this was reported today, that because Donald Trump in his 60 Minutes interview was asked if he would accept a salary for being president, he said he doesn't really want to accept a salary because he can afford not to accept a salary, but he thinks by law that he has to accept at least $1. So that's what he would take as a yearly salary for president. Well, now people on the liberal media side are saying that that's a violation of the Constitution. How is that a violation of the Constitution? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, considering that was written into the Constitution back when George Washington was president. George Washington was rich. He didn't even want to accept a salary as president. So why is it so bad that Donald Trump doesn't want to accept a salary? I don't get it. But I guess the liberal media is going to report this any way they want to. Okay. Another thing is, they're saying that it's taken Trump too long to pick his cabinet members. He's already named 2 people. It took Obama, I think, 3 weeks to finally name anybody in his cabinet. It took Reagan 5 weeks. Yet they're saying Donald Trump is slow at picking his cabinet members, and the ones that they're picking, they're now trying to get a petition to get him to take them down. They don't like Steve Bannon saying he's a white supremacist or whatever because he's made anti-Jewish remarks, which I've not seen anywhere. He did work for Breitbart news outlet, which Andrew Breitbart was a Jewish person, so I don't really see that would be a symbol of white nationalist. But then again, I don't read a whole lot of Breitbart stuff. I just know that Steve Bannon done pretty good at helping get Donald Trump elected. So that said, I think everything's fine on that count. Ted Cruz come weaseling up to Trump Tower sometime yesterday, I believe, and his name has been floated for Attorney General. which I think's rather odd. If he had made nice with Donald Trump earlier in the campaign and, kind of supported him sooner, maybe he would have been one of Donald Trump's choices for a Supreme Court appointment. I mean, he would have had it made then. That would have been his lifetime achievement instead of what everybody's going to remember him as for reading Green Eggs and Ham on the Senate floor while filibustering Obamacare. Green Eggs and Ham. Because it was his child's bedtime. I think he got up at 2:41 on the Senate floor to start talking about Obamacare, and he said he was going to keep talking until he couldn't stand anymore. And then at about 8 o'clock that night, he said it was his child's bedtime. He usually reads her the story, Green Eggs and Ham. He held up a copy of the Dr. Seuss book. And he said, I'm going to read this book to you. And he went on and read the book. I mean, there's video of this on YouTube, if you care to look it up. I personally don't like Ted Cruz enough to even look through any of that. But it's silly. I mean, John Boehner at one point was asked what he thought of Ted Cruz, and he said, Ted Cruz is the most miserable son of a bitch he knows. And John Boehner, former Speaker of the House, said that. Ted Cruz said, well, I don't know why you would say this. I don't even know the man. Well, it turns out that he was the lawyer for John Boehner at one point. So of course he would know him. It's just odd. I would prefer Trump pick someone like Trey Gowdy as Attorney General myself. Or even possibly Rudy Giuliani, but I think his name's been thrown up for Secretary of State, which I would rather see go to like Newt Gingrich. General Flynn's name's in for NSA, which I think is probably a good position. I would think maybe Secretary of Defense or something. Or Secretary of Homeland Security, something like that for General John Flynn. But either way, I'm glad he's there. I was saddened to see that Ben Carson was no longer going to be appointed to anything on Trump's cabinet. But I don't know what happened there. I would hope that Ben Carson is still going to be somewhere close to Trump, because I really, really like Ben Carson. I thought this guy has some potential. In fact, I was going to vote for him for president. He's another one that Ted Cruz screwed over in the primaries. Ben Carson said after, I think it was I can't remember which primary it was, but he said he was going to go back home to Florida and get change clothes, take a shower, and then he was going to go to Washington for a prayer breakfast. And Ted Cruz took that opportunity. Now, CNN reported that he tweeted this. So, I mean, they're the ones really to blame, but Ted Cruz used the opportunity to say, Ben Carson dropped out of the race. Don't waste your votes on him. Vote for me. And I believe that was New Hampshire. Ted Cruz won it handily, because there's no telling how many votes he stole away from Ben Carson just from that statement. I didn't like the way Ted Cruz campaigned. Didn't like the way Marco Rubio campaigned. I sure didn't like the way Jeb Bush campaigned. All of them were against Trump. It didn't matter what Trump did, they were going to be against it. Carly Fiorina was okay, and I really liked John Kasich until he just never would get behind Trump. I don't know why. I thought I could vote for this John Kasich guy. Then after Ted Cruz dropped out, and then Kasich dropped out, and then neither one of them would get behind Trump, I thought, I wouldn't support John Kasich for anything. He's probably not even going to keep his governor's seat in, was it Ohio where he's from? Lisa, it's so odd. But that I'm just rattling on here about all this. Another thing I find pretty interesting is we don't generally have a sitting U.S. president actively campaigning for somebody else, running for president, especially not as aggressively as Barack Obama did for Hillary Clinton. And there's reasons why this happens. I mean, let alone the fact that he was using our plane, Air Force One, our fuel. We were paying his salary while he was doing all this. But throughout his whole campaigning for Hillary, he's bad-mouthing Trump, saying how great Hillary is, that she's more qualified to be president than even he was. Then Donald Trump's a racist. Donald Trump's unfit to hold office. And now, what's Obama having to do? He's having to go around to all these countries that are in NATO and reassure them that, hey, this Donald Trump guy, I was a little wrong about him. I believe he'll be the right guy for the job. Although in Greece today, he's backpedaling that again because he's realizing that his legacy's on the line. He doesn't have a legacy. A legacy of crap, maybe. Obama has done nothing but divide this country so bad that I don't know that Donald Trump can even straighten it out. I'm hoping that President-elect Trump can straighten it out. I've been behind President-elect Trump since pretty much the beginning. Like I said, I did like Ben Carson. But he was one of the earlier ones to drop out. I mean, several of them dropped out, but Ben Carson was one of the earlier ones. I mean, there was several people still sticking in. Kasich stuck in till the bitter end, and so did Cruz. In fact, Cruz was going to run it right up through the convention and make them decide. And you got Mitt Romney putting in this Evan McMullin character to try to spoil for Donald Trump. It's just ridiculous. At least wait until Donald Trump gets in office on January 20th and give him a little bit of leeway to see what the man's going to do. Don't already just start criticizing him, say he's backpedaling on everything, because that's what a lot of people are saying. I haven't seen him backpedal on anything. They say in his 60 Minutes interview that he said the wall doesn't necessarily have to be a wall, that it can be a fence. That's not what he said. Certain areas of the wall could be a fence because there's a lot of mountainous area across the Mexican border. And, it's not feasible to build a wall on a lot of that. But I do believe he will build the wall. And, stuff like him deporting, 20, 30 million Hispanic people back to Mexico. I never believed that he was going to do that. You've got to weed out the bad ones, which is what he said he's going to do. He said that before he was elected. People are picking up on it now because of the 60 Minutes interview. But he said that before he was even elected. You get rid of the bad ones, which I think a lot of them will self-deport anyway now that he's been elected. All these anti-Trump protesters, most of them didn't even vote. I think in Portland they arrested 104 people and discovered 79 of them either didn't register to vote or there was no evidence that they had voted. So what are they protesting? But yeah, he'll get rid of the big troublemakers first. People like the illegal that killed Kate Steinle. Kate's law has got to pass. I don't care who's in office. Kate's law needs to pass. That is the most important, one of the most important things, and to defund sanctuary cities. You don't need to defund Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood does a lot more than just abortions. And it's called Planned Parenthood for a reason. They give out contraception, they give out birth control. They even help with pregnant women. If they don't want the baby, but they don't want to abort it, they'll put them in touch with people that can see what they can do about it, about getting the baby adopted or something. So no, Planned Parenthood does not need to be defunded. I think some of the abortion stuff does. Something needs to be done about that. Because with abortion, I mean, when it gets later term, abortion, that's just creepy to me. And I think that was probably one of the worst things in Hillary's debate performances whenever she was defending a woman's right to terminate a pregnancy in its 9th month. And at that point, the baby could live. So could the mother. Doesn't really matter what's wrong with the mother. If she's got good care in the hospital, they can save both the baby and the mother. If they've waited that long to abort a pregnancy, to me, that's murder. That baby is a living person. I just want everybody to give President-elect Donald Trump a chance before just saying, hey, this guy's going to ruin the country. Because everything's going to be fine. He's going to do what he needs to do. The mainstream media needs to get a grip. If anybody's still watching stuff like CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, you need to stop because they're not reporting news anymore. Fox does report some real news. I mean, you can't believe everything you see on Fox. Don't get me wrong. Your best bet is certain YouTube channels. I'd like to give a shout out to Anthony Brian Logan, Mark Dice, and Bill Steele. They're just great resources. InfoWars to a degree, but with InfoWars, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Steve Piecyk, he's been a good one. A good resource here on YouTube. Next News Network's on YouTube, and a lot of the stuff they report, I just don't believe anymore. But yeah, I mean, you can watch some Mundane Matt videos, but Mundane Matt, he's got some rather odd subject matters about the Electoral College and stuff. The Electoral College is there so people have a voice that live in smaller rural areas like myself. I mean, down here in Cleveland, Georgia, most people don't even know where that's at. You know, we're just a small town. But, you know, we got the newspaper last week and it went 80%, 83%, I believe, for Trump. So, I mean, we wouldn't have even had a voice had it not been for the Electoral College. And people talking about taking away the Electoral College and just let people from California and Texas and New York decide who our president's going to be. They might as well just appoint somebody as president because we're going to be living in a dictatorship. It's not going to be a government for the people, by the people anymore. Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote. I mean, there's no denying that. But if you look at the map county by county, Trump had more coverage than Verizon. So to me, that's more popular than the actual popular vote because Hillary won in the big cities. That's where she took it. And these states are winner take all. So Trump won the election fair and square. I mean, he tweeted out back in 2012 after the election that the Electoral College needs to go when Mitt Romney lost against Obama. A lot of people keep citing that, or well, Trump doesn't believe in the Electoral College. Well, Trump still stands by that same thing, even though that's the way he won the presidency. If it wasn't for the Electoral College, he wouldn't have won. Yet he still stands by his statement. That should tell anybody what Mr. Trump's all about. He says something, he stands by it. Even if it would change things. He said in 2012 that the Electoral College needed to go. He still says that, even though he won. So Electoral College, think about that for a minute. It's just, that's just the way it is. Anyway, I think I'm just going to wrap this video up here. I'm going to try to start scripting these videos a little more so I don't start rambling on so much and try to stay on point because I don't want to lose potential viewers because they don't want to hear somebody just ramble on. So I'm going to try to start scripting these videos that I do. And I hope that you will like them. If you do, throw it a thumbs up. If you like my messaging or whatever, feel free to share it anywhere on your social media sites, Facebook, Twitter. That's about all I got until the next video. I'm trying to work on a video, an open letter to Clive Guzzler, but that's a totally different subject. I'll get to that sometime. I also like to get some movie reviews in, and that'll be at a later time, but I do want to thank everybody who is watching my videos. I know that the last video that I put up has several views. I haven't looked at it today, but I am pleased at that. I mean, I'm new at this, so just bear with me. Thank you for watching.